So let's talk about thinking from first principles. Now, a lot of successful people that we know actually think from first principles, but it's actually easy if you actually follow the two mindset shifts and the three tips I have for you, so you can actually think from first principles. Now, let's talk about what is actually thinking from first principles versus and also why you should actually do it. So thinking from first principles is basically breaking down concepts down to the point where it can no longer be broken down, or taking things that are very complex and making them very simple. Now, why would you want to think from first principles? When you think from first principles, it becomes very easy to solve your own problems, because solving your problems is actually difficult. It's easier to solve someone else's problems than to solve your problems. Secondly, when you think from first principles, you begin to have solutions that most people don't have. When you think from first principles, it's easier for you to think outside the box because you understand why and how the box was made. And lastly, the most important reason for you to actually think from first principles is because the amount of internet advice that's going around these days from people who we quote unquote call gurus is alarming. Most of these guys, for the sake of getting your attention or selling your products, have made things more complex than they should actually be. So I'll be giving you five tips basically. The first two are mindset shifts. That's why I believe all change comes from within. Because without those changes coming from within, whatever you do, all your external efforts will be wasted. And the next three are about actions that you can take to basically to basically practice this first principles thinking. Your first mindset shift is you have to be curious. Trust me. You're going to have to want to question every single thing. Be curious to question every single thing you know. At first, it sounds difficult. It sounds stupid. But like we also, when we're all small kids, we like to know why things are the way they are until our teachers magically gave us answers. Some of these answers they themselves do not know. And that is why I'm a very, very big believer that most doctors don't really know what they're talking about. Now, that's a topic for another day. But be curious to know why things are the way they are and how things are the way they are. Ask questions. Oh, then when you find the answer, ask further questions till you get to the point where you know that, okay, this is it. This is why everything is the way it is. The second mindset shift is you're going to need to have wide interest. We live in a world where you're asked to specialize. But let's be factual. Specialization, the more you specialize, the lower level or the lower your contribution to the earth. You may argue with yourself, oh, the neurosurgeon is more important than the general practitioner, that is, general medicine doctor. That's a very big lie. If there is, whether there's a health crisis or there's a health pandemic, the general practitioner is going to be more valuable than the neurosurgeon, the guy who works on the brain alone. The guy who works on the brain can only work on people. He can charge more. That's a topic for another day. I would like to touch on that topic very soon. But reading wide can allow you to know why things are the way they are. Precisely when you are curious on a lot of topics, it can make you understand a bunch of topics and bring them together. Think of it. Elon Musk knows business, he knows technology, he knows space travel, he knows engineering, he knows all these things. That's why he's able to bring a lot of things together and provide massive value for the whole world. Also, he also understands a thing or two about personal brands. That's why I think, Tesla doesn't even spend up to 10% on advertisement compared to other electric vehicles. Now, after you're curious and you're curious about a wide number of things, the next three steps is first of all, you do this when you encounter an actual problem that you want to break down to first principles. Is first of all, identify the problem. Now, when you identify the problem, look at the problem really. With first thinking principles, you are able to dissect what the real problem is. And trust me, how this will help is because it will be more difficult to sell you drugs that don't work, to sell you on fad diets, to sell you on pills that don't work, because you know what the real problem is. The second point now is to break down the problem to its smallest details. Like I said, you've been doing this in practice outside of work. Now you're actually putting it into solving a problem. You're breaking the problem down to its smallest details. So some people say, for example, in business, we kind of assume that because you lack money doesn't mean that the problem is actually inflow. Sometimes it may be your expenses. Sometimes it may be the lifestyle of the people in the company. So break it down to the smallest detail. The third aspect, which is the most important and the most interesting, is called connecting the dots. Now, connecting the dots is something you can do either consciously or subconsciously. And I have a video on that coming up very soon. How you can literally get answers to most of your problems, rather all of your problems, if you employ conscious and unconscious reasoning. That's a topic for another day. So back to it is connecting the dots, and this is basically Steve Jobs' secret, because when you connect the dots, it means you fully understand a lot of things that come together to form that dot. That's the reason Steve Jobs literally took Apple from a declining company to a global brand, to the most valuable company in the world after his death. You might say Tim Cook did it, but well, we can till this day feel the effects of Steve Jobs in that company till this date. So when you can connect the dots together, it becomes easier to innovate, because it becomes easier to create new ideas if you can think from first principles and make the dots connected. When you connect the dots, it's easier for you to make things better. I mean, better is 10 times better, which is an advice that all business gurus give, and it makes sense. Elon Musk will tell you to make your product 10 times better. Sam Ovens, Peter Thiel, you always say make your product 10 times better than the current solution. And that's something that I'm also going to talk about, and that's where my startup is heading towards. When you understand things from a first principles perspective, it's easier for you to actually teach these things to other people. It's easier for you to because let's be honest, most people who teach don't understand the beginner's mind. But because of you understand things from the advanced level down to the beginner's level, it becomes easier to actually teach people to spread the word. And lastly, I would say when you really understand how things work, it's also easier for you to integrate. What I mean integrate is, which is the same thing as innovate is. You can take a part from somewhere and put it somewhere else. It's those first principle thinking that makes people create things like jet skis instead of yachts. That make people think outside the box. That make people create blue ocean strategies. And it's, like I said, it's completely amazing. It's mind-blowing how the mind works. So yeah, that's it basically. So I'll say for this video, I really do not have any bonus. I'm just trying to make things as simple as they should be, because like I said, everything is simple. Until it's time to make money, people make it complex. The mind makes it complex. I live in a world where people thrive making things complex. But if you think through first principles, it becomes very, very difficult to get you addicted, to get you to buy something that's quote unquote complex. So that's it very much. Kindly share my video with someone who you know is always making things complex, who you know is who you think will find this video valuable. So thank you very much. Talk to you soon, and bye for now.